John?
I think, I agree we have to use them because it's gonna look odd if we don't, so why don't we approve it? But Jennifer, do you think you can call them and just squeeze them a little bit here on the freight?
I can try, but I don't think there's any wiggle room. I mean, I can ask my partner to come in to do the installation part, but I don't think there's going to be any wiggle room.
No.
Thank you.
But thank you for the offer.
I'm just wondering if they have an alternate instead of putting on a specific truck and getting it here.
Mm-hmm. Like if we wait longer, can we combine it with somebody else's freight that's coming this way anyway?
There's plenty
like
of ways
split
to
the
get
cost
things
or
over
something?
here, but I mean, I can't imagine, I mean, how big are they?
The mobile
things,
shelving
yeah.
units? Yeah, I guess about the size of the piano put together.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can find out, but I say we go ahead and approve it.
I can certainly ask.
Yeah.
No, the measurements I think are up there, 37 wide by 20 deep, 48 tall.
Mm-hmm.
That's the size.
Okay.
They're the same. They're the same as the ones we have, correct?
Yes.
They're just identical. Okay.
I agree with all the comments that were made. I think we have to go ahead and do this. I would just like to take it as a very expensive learning experience in terms of how we order these renovations, that we really think it through how much we need, so that when we do this in terms of big orders, we don't have to face this again.
So why don't we approve it based on perhaps Ann or Jennifer talking to the company and see if that freight, maybe we can combine it with another person, because they're a pretty big outfit and they do New Canaan. So maybe New Canaan is ordering things, because when we were there, it looked like they were still under construction in some areas. And so maybe they can combine, since New Canaan's right down the street, maybe we can add on, they could give us a break in freight if the truck is coming here anyway.
I'm sure that that truck is just not delivering our two pieces. They're just, our pieces are going to be a small part of the back of that truck. They're going to be making a lot of deliveries. I mean that's what moving companies do. They fill their truck with a lot of different customers' things. I really doubt that there's going to be a truck just dedicated to those two. If it was a truck dedicated coming from Michigan for just our furniture, I think it would be a lot more. If you've gotten prices from moving companies recently, it's really costly. It is. I know, because I just wanted to ship things from my mom's, and I said, forget it. I took a storage unit out instead, which is cheaper, really.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, I make the motion to approve up to $4,200 for extra mobile shelving in our fiction area.
Second.
Do I have all in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Any other interior refresh, guys?
The only other comment I want to make about interior refresh is it's so refreshing to come in here and see our interior refresh. It's really beautiful. It's just, I hope everybody feels the same.
It's gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning.
And I think the town knows it too. It's been in the mayor's letter, and it's really very well done.
Okay, we have dreaded parking lot issue. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of what we're doing about the programming and park in relation to parking, I had a really great phone call right before I got here, which is great news, is that Lawrence Construction wants to meet tomorrow. Anyone and everyone is welcome at the parking lot at 1:30. We picked a time when there were no programs, there were very limited programs. And we're going to meet with Jim Perry, who's also going to meet us at 1:30 in the parking lot. It's short notice because we found out that Jim Perry's going on vacation tomorrow. So he was, not tomorrow, I'm sorry, next week. So he was so kind to fit us in this week. And so we took him up on the offer. So this is Lawrence, who we bid and got the accepted bid to do our construction. And what's happening is it's lighting. So the lighting is going to start first. It will be about 3.5 weeks. It's weather permitted, but we're going to be able to drive on it because they put those metal plates over it. If anyone's ever gone into construction. So your tires will be boom, 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 but you're not going to get flat tires or anything. And then once he gets approvals after the electrician does his thing, and then we get approvals from the town and the county or whatever, and then he patchworks. And so that would be the first. Jennifer, tomorrow, if you're available, 1:30, Lawrence and Jim Perry are meeting us in the parking lot. And so that's the first thing.
Is this just to go over everything?
This is to go over everything. Lawrence has already started to accept conduits and a whole bunch of equipment. I asked him if he could keep it and not bring it to the library, and he very graciously said, of course. And I said, so tomorrow we're also going to see what he needs to dump off here. Can we use the green, which is where you walk from the upper to the lower parking lot? Can we use some of that spacing? Can we use, instead of taking a parking space, can we use some of our grassy knoll areas? And so then the second thing that we're going to talk about with Jim Perry is, and Mike and I have been out in the parking lot, and Jennifer has been out in the parking lot tremendously, is that can we, when we strike, okay, so that's one component of the parking lot. The asphalt does not open up the plants until April 15th or about then. So once we get through the electric, we're going to pave. We have to wait till those plants open. They're all weather related as well. With our luck, we're gonna get snow, I bet you, in March and April. I see it already coming, so we're gonna get delayed. But so they're weather related. You cannot asphalt until a certain temperature. We're moving right ahead with the temperature, but keep in mind that if it starts going down in March and April, the asphalt plants get pushed out. And so once the asphalt plants open, we're going to repave the driveway. We cannot expand the driveway, as everyone knows, but we can maybe eke out a space or 2 or 3, and that's what we're going to, based on lines. I can instantly tell you, everyone, and we just noticed as we walked in today, across from our handicap, there should be, and because there's no striping left, we should be able to fit 5 cars. Unfortunately, the first car, which actually parked perfect today, but the other cars did not. And so that's what happens constantly in our parking lot. We lose a space here and there by the way people park. And it's because we have no white lines.
Bonnie, you're right, 5 cars can fit there, because the other day I was here and people parked perfectly, and I got the 5th space, and it was, I was really surprised when I pulled in that there was space. And I said, wow, 5 cars can fit here.
Yeah, there are
Safely.
Exactly, there are, so we're hoping with the striping, not that we gain per se, but we will. We're thinking about moving our dumpsters, because our dumpsters they're spaced a little too far apart, and you really can't park a car in front. So why can't we move the dumpsters all the way so we can get another parking spot? But again, we went to the planning board and they approved to only repave the surfaces that are already paved. We can't bump out a curb, we can't push ourselves into the grass, so keep that all in line. I'm hoping we get a couple spaces out by better restriping and maybe moving things like the dumpsters. Okay, so on that note, what we did.
Just one comment, just as importantly, the lines for the fire lanes and for where people can't park will also now be emphasized, because to avoid any safety issues.
Exactly. Now keep in mind the paving it will be a separate thing, so we're going to do the lighting first, so we probably won't see the paving until May. So what we've done with our parking situation is we've got 24 spaces. That's all we have, guys. So every program, every long-term planning, everything has to be mindful that that's all we have. Maybe bumping out the children's room, you have to be mindful that that's how many spaces we have. We have to take a couple spaces away for our personnel and our staff. So keep in mind, what we did, because we've had parking lot issues, as you know, the police have been called, our neighbors are upset, is that we had a meeting, a very nice meeting with our neighbor, and we've gotten the chief of police involved, and what we've done is you've seen all the signs now, everything's marked outside. Everything where you can't park, there's signs. If people don't understand that, I'm probably giving up. But the signs, in my opinion, and everything out there is very clearly marked. It's not the prettiest, but again, we're gonna have to live with this until we get the parking lot straight. Second thing that we've done, and really our staff has been wonderful, is that they looked at every program, and we now don't have overlapping programs. But let's just say a program ends at 3. Another program doesn't start at 3 anymore. It starts at 3:15 or 3:30 to let people get a chance to come out of our parking lot, and so then a new group of people can come in. No overlapping, again, no overlapping programs, which will definitely help. And the other thing that we've done is on every program, if you've noticed on our social media, it was blasted out on everything, on the, today, if anyone signs up for Dave Goldberg's, his town, community, whatever, it was blasted out there too, that everything needs registration and we cap it at 20. And so all these steps have been taken to really watch our parking lot. Keeping in mind that 20, you're always gonna lose a person or 2 or 3. They don't show up. And so we've taken steps to really eliminate our parking situation. For our bigger events, we're going to not have them 1 or 2, maybe 3 times at the most per year for a big event. And we're going to have to use off-site parking. We're going to have to tell people to carpool, but we're going to use the neighbor-to-neighbor bus. We'll be charged for it. Through Dave Goldberg's office, we found out that it's $25 per hour. And the other, which I think is reasonable, and the other thing is, before we plan an event, a big event, we must go through Dave Goldberg's office and see if A, the town is not using the parking lot as a town, because as you know, the town will have camp starting, and they have opening day baseball down there, they've got Harvest Fest, so we have to always go through them before we plan a big event, and we have to see if the neighbor-to-neighbor bus is available for us. So those are our 3 options. And I was also thinking, because I happen to have been on the town board when the inn had the same issues, that for off-parking sites, if the town park is not available, we might want to go to the nursery. The inn, they were very nice to, the nursery was very nice to the inn. We might want to go to the community church, who's also been very nice to the inn, and say, hey, if we have a neighbor-to-neighbor bus coming, would you mind if we use your parking? Again, because they're our neighbors, they were very kind to the inn, so those are also alternatives in the future. But right now, for our April 22nd event, we do have the town park and we do have neighbor-to-neighbor bus. But again, every big event, we have to keep that in mind that we have a parking issue. And we also have to keep this in mind if, let's say, the Parish Land Conservancy comes to us, or the Flower, I think the Flower is doing, at the Flower Garden Club is doing an event in March. Roxanne obviously does the Ichabod, she's very well aware of our parking situation. It's gonna be on Monday, we're not here. They've already got a carpool system going, and then they have several people in their club that they can park cars at their houses, so, you know, it won't affect us. So again, that's something we have to keep in mind for every event now. But we did take incredible steps, we turned it around in less than a week, and we're hoping this does the trick. Short of what we've done, and I think those signs that, you know what, if people park illegally, they're gonna have to get towed. There's nothing we can do, short of what we've done. I mean, I think the signs are in your face.
Was this all stemming from the magician frog team, like that weekend?
It's been a combination. It's been a combination of Kurt Gallagher on Friday mornings, and it's been a combination on weekends. Again, scheduling conflicts in our scheduling. So it's a combination of everything. So yeah, we're capping everything off. And as we just heard Jenna give beautiful statistics, because of the beautiful refresh that Jennifer and everyone worked on, we're getting much more publicity. With publicity means many more people coming.
No, I was here that weekend, and people were unhappy because the parking was like a curve, you know?
So 2 more issues. One is, and I had talked to a father a couple weeks ago, New Canaan wasn't open, they just opened. A lot of their programming I've gone on site is still a little weak. Several of us went to the grand opening. There are definitely areas that they're still working on. So as they gear up more and more for programs, I think we're going to lose that crowd. And then our other thing that we're going to start doing is we're going to start charging out of state, not out of town, out of state, $10 a carload. As many kids or as many people are in that car. And this is what the town does for events. We've already spoken to the town about it. This is how they control their crowd control, and this is what, we're going to do the same thing. And I do think, once New Canaan gears up, we will lose some of the Connecticut crowd, because they have to, if we go to New Canaan or Stanford or anything out of state, we can't take out books as a New York resident without paying their, I think it was 140 years ago when I was a member there, I forgot what it is now. They have to pay $75 to take out books at our library. So it's beneficial if they go to their own library, because if you have a kid and all of a sudden they want a book, I mean, it's an expense when you have a free library in your own state. So I think that would help our parking situation. Because if you do look and you do come here during the day and you see our programs, there's quite, there's out of state, and we want to make sure that our tax dollars and our residents are being taken care of.
But do the people from out of state, they can participate in our programs, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And they can take out books, they just have to pay the yearly fee.
Right, but they don't have to pay for the children's program?
No, but they will have to pay to park.
Okay. And Ken wasn't here to say anything, but the signs out there, the one-way signs now, those were installed since our last meeting. And the big do not enter sign, they look really nice, but, like, hopefully people pay attention to that too.
Not to rehash old wounds here. What's the logic if we're gonna pave and everything else, is the planning board saying we can't kick out a curb or something? To the point, you have the 5 spots outside, but then we have all these rounded curves right next to it.
Because
it's already paving, why don't we just like dig a little bit?
We're not allowed to, because we had to go through the planning board, and exactly what's on the plans from the planning board, obviously you've never been around the planning board application, exactly what's on the planning board plans is what got approved, and it is building architectural plans. Jim Perry will be looking, our building department will be here, it has to match exactly to our plans. We got turned down for the expansion of the parking lot, so we had to leave the footprint the same way. We cannot bang out.
Yeah, but did we get turned down for expanding like a big one? They said no to the big. Did we talk to them specifically about kicking out a curve here, kicking out a curve
Well,
there?
keep in mind that there's a return on investment. The minute you go in front of the planning board, we hired, and it cost us quite a bit of money. We had to hire an architect, which was not cheap. We had to hire an attorney. We have to pay for the town's engineer, which we would get 4 pages of questions that we had to answer. But that town engineer took a long time to write that. We had to pay his fee. We had to also get a landscape architect, and we had to get a drainage architect. So we would have 5 people sitting in the meeting, meters running. We would be sitting there for 2-3 hours before we even got in front of the board. We had to pay for all their transportation, for a couple curbs, for 1 parking spot. Did that make sense? When our plan got turned down, we would have to pay for all these 5 people to redo the plans for a curb or 2. The return of investment wasn't there at that point. Because to redo architectural plans was going to be thousands upon thousands. And who knows if we would have gotten approved. And I have to say, I see the planning board's vision. Mike and I stood out here. Every other car blows that stop sign. It is one of the dangerous intersections. We also have 2 negatives against this building. We are landmarked. Alice's Cottage, which is right next door, is landmarked. So be careful when you think about building out the children's area, because you can see us from almost all angles of the road. Because you're landmarked, if you can see us from the main road, you cannot change the facade of the building. So keep that in mind. That's a no-no. So we're landmarked, next door is landmarked. We're in the historical hamlet of Pound Ridge in a residential area. Way over lot coverage as it is. We're only on 3 acres. Lot coverage is hardscape versus softscape. Our realtor knows this. Hardscape versus softscape. So we have so many negatives going.
Okay.
We are in a bucolic town that loves their green open spaces.
And they never approve exceptions to this board?
It's not exceptions. We have planning board approved plans because we needed a lighting plan.
No, that's specific to us. I'm saying, does the board ever say, okay, hardscape, softscape, we'll give you a pass. Does that ever happen?
Yes, but we're so far over hardscape as it is already, in a residential area with neighbors, some of the neighbors didn't want it, and I don't blame them if I had one of those houses, any realtor will tell you. So, you know, we had a lot of negatives. And that's just our makeup of our building. We were a one-room schoolhouse when there was hardly any traffic on these roads. Keep in mind also, when this building was built or donated to us, and the parking lot, people had small cars. Now, people, you know, every mother in town has the biggest SUV I've ever seen. Hopefully with the gas prices and what happened during COVID, we're coming back down with our cars. But that's part of our problem too, with our parking lot. The big SUVs that don't pull up to the curb, they stick out, they park, you know, 2 spots. You know, that's a whole other issue.
It is too bad, John, because blowing out a few curbs, I know there are a few that I looked at that I said.
I know.
Yeah.
Blow them out, we could make more space.
But again, that would have to be, this board would have to approve architectural plans, and we have to get a lighting expert, and we have to get a, you know, a architect. We have to go through all that expense for a few curbs. It's called return on investment. For maybe we get 1 spot out of those curbs, maybe 2. You know?
It's just disappointing, because like all this work, you know, that we did to the interior, all the work that Jenna is doing with PR, and getting so much more interest, and then having to kind of turn people away. And it's, you know, it's not making people happy. I don't think it makes us happy, right? Like you know, I just wish that I don't really have a solution here. I just wish that there was another option, or a way to go back to them that wouldn't cost us like that much money.
It's not going to. I mean, architectural plans in itself, anyone who's done work knows how expensive those are, thousands. The second thing is, and to Jennifer's point, is we're not turning anyone away, they can carpool. And if we looked at everyone's library website, and Valerie, Jennifer, myself, Mike, everyone has a registration, they have it. And this is, we're not new. Bedford Village, they have a parking issue. Bedford Hills has a parking issue. Petona has a parking issue. Conant Hall, you rent out Conant Hall, you have a parking issue. You rent out the Bedford Village Historical, you always see bar businesses, they have a parking issue. It's just something in this area. We live in an area that no one wants double, you know, garages like White Plains and Stanford. But you get these small little buildings that were built in the 1900s, and there's parking issues. We're not unique. If you look at almost every public area, the townhouse has a parking issue. When we had events there, the police cars, believe it or not, would have to go and park at the garages and stuff. We'd sometimes have to shuffle employees, because again, if you ever go to the townhouse, there's a parking issue. I mean, you know, and if you go into our town and you do any shopping, quite often you have to park in the back, and if you go in the back, because there's a lot of apartments, I don't know if anyone's ever been in the back behind Blind Charlie's and stuff, but sometimes I have to drive around several times to find a spot, because the residents are taking the parking. You could go to, you know, so this area has a parking issue.
Well, in terms of just following up on what Jennifer said, it's a good problem that will be becoming more and more popular. And I think we've started to address it with the scheduling problem, with the registration. And we'll take it that way. I think there's some leeway there, so I don't think we'll have to turn people away. I think we'll just do better planning.
Yeah, and again, with the registration, every library has it, even New Canaan. I actually went on New Canaan and they sold out of a concert, and I'm like, wow, with all that space, I cannot believe they're packing. And they are. And when we went to their parking, I started counting spaces and saying, for this big a building, they're going to have a parking issue. I mean, because they don't have enough spaces. And by the way, if you park in their parking spots across the street, and that's where their parking is, you pay. And on the side roads there, it's 2-hour parking, and I'm sure you'll get a ticket if you're over 2 hours. Because I'm sure residents over there will start complaining, because there's businesses on those side streets. So unfortunately, you know, it's a good thing to have, like Mike said, because we have people that really want to use our library now. And if we don't schedule programs on top of each other, and we schedule programs one at a time, I think this I think we're gonna solve a lot of these issues. Any other? Is Neil on?
Mhm.
Yeah. So, Neil, I'm sure will write about this. And again, I think we've done a great job of getting it out there and people knowing now that they have to register for every program. And we're not the only library. This is not a unique situation to this library. Every library went on. I was so shocked that you had to register for every program.
No, I think that's pretty common, like registration. It was new for people here, but I think the registration
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
So, any other comments? No? Okay, great. Parking, OEM, I did blast out an email on the Pownage Committee Facebook page when we did lose electric. And I came here the next morning and Jennifer and I were quite surprised that there was no one really here using us as a warming center. I occasionally go on the OEM meetings in town, and it's twofold. I think an awful lot of us, since Hurricane Sandy, got generators. And there are quite a few people that have second and third homes, or they go to friends' houses. I think we're all very used to having no electric in Pownage. And so I think having us as
Sadly, we're used to it.
yes, ma'am. Having, being the official warming center is great, but I don't think we're gonna get slammed like we have in the past, just because I do think all these reasons. I just see more and more people installing generators, whether they're portable or whole house, and I think that's limiting a lot of people from coming to a library like us, and having to charge phones and stuff. So, again, I did bang it out. I did email Kevin Hansen and our town supervisor and Chief LePage that we were open for a warming center, and I don't think we got anyone, to be honest with you, which is good. So that happened at our last storm when some of us got hit. Mike Clark Technology.
So kudos to the people who did the update and renovations in terms of our electrical system. Some people may not have heard about the phone issue that we were having, which was that several calls coming in at once were often relayed to a doctor's office somewhere in Westchester rather than coming to the library. Based on I'm interested in a newer technology, voice over internet. We evaluated several vendors and came up with a great local vendor who was willing to install phones, and Jennifer has kindly given me a phone to show to the group here. I forget all the details, but maybe you want to just describe in terms of answering and different lines and things.
Oh, sure. So we'll have an auto attendant now, so that we won't be having every phone ring all day long, every time someone calls. When you pick up the phone, it will greet you and say if you want to speak to the adult librarian, the children librarian, the circulation, the director, or for general information and directions. Those will then go directly to the person. If they don't pick up, it'll go to voicemail, which was also a brand new thing for us, which is very exciting. We're not going to have any problems with lines going anywhere other than inside the library. We're getting all new equipment. There's no installation, there's no equipment cost, there's no start fee, there's no contract. It's a month to month. It's going to be $135 a month. All said and done, everyone's getting new equipment, new lines. Everything's going to be completely up to date and modern. So overdue and very much welcome.
Great, thank you.
We do have to maintain a relationship with Verizon based on the fact that the alarm system does not run on voice over internet. So you'll have, I think it's 2 lines that will be the alarm system only from Verizon.
Correct.
So when's this happening? Because yesterday I got the doctor's office.
Did you?
I've gotten the doctor's office. They are so used to us.
I was returning Alan's phone call, and first I got the please enter your ID. So I knew Susan was here yesterday, Susan Turner and Alan. So first I got enter your ID. So I said, let me wait 5 minutes. Hold it. Then I got the doctor's office the second time. Then on the third attempt, I got Susan Turner and Alan.
So my understanding is that you're just working out the exact details on the answering machine, and it's gonna, it can happen.
And
anytime.
the installation will be on Monday. Yep. So,
perfect.
yeah.
Great, thank you.
Great news.
So then, there have been various changes with the WLS in terms of what they are covering and what they aren't covering. And there was some discussion at one of the previous meetings about the fact that there was a trustee email site, but really none of the trustees really had access. There's been some concern about the fact that most of the trustee business is being done on personal email accounts. Jennifer was able to work with WLS to get each one of our trustees an actual email account at poundridge.com, and she explained to me, and I didn't quite get it in terms of how we are going to access. I think it's starting March 1st, we'll be able to access our email system. How do we go about doing that?
Just like you would with any Gmail account, even though it's a .org email. So we'll go to John Cristiano or jcristiano@poundridgelibrary.org when you sign into Gmail, and they'll make your password, and yeah, just like you would any Gmail account.
So we can add it to our phone, like an
Sure.
extra email account?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just like any Gmail account. I'd love to figure out a way that we can group so we don't have to put in each person's, name at the beginning of every single year.
We
So I'm
might
gonna
have
look
to
into
come-
that.
I know you give technology lessons, Jennifer, we might all have to come here for.
I was just thinking that, I was like, we might have to all come for technology lessons. Okay, great, thank you, Mike and Jennifer. The vendor contract review, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, and I know we both are following the 3 quotes and, et cetera, so, that's great. Jennifer, Jervis.
Okay, I'll be very brief. I just wanted to mention some of the upcoming events and community outreach. With the Poundridge Historical Society, I don't know if you saw that in the vestibule, they've loaned us another schoolhouse desk and chair combination. We're going to be hopefully putting a nice big plaque on top to explain why they're there in the first place, and really draw the eye to the history of the building. We'll be displaying historical Poundridge artifacts on a rotating schedule on the window ledge in the reading room from the Historic Society as well. Earth Day Every Day and Friends of Poundridge are having an Earth Day celebration on April 22nd from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. So if some of the trustees can show their face at our booth and give out our reusable tote bags, we're going to bring the seed library down there so people can start getting their seeds for planting the gardens. And I'm also looking into getting seed paper bookmarks. I'll show you those next time.
This is, the date.
April 22nd, it's the same date of our evening storytelling event.
So, I will volunteer to man our library for April 22nd at night. I'll have my headlamp on. Hopefully our lights will be in the parking lot, so I won't need a headlamp. But I will help with the parking situation at the April 22nd event.
Great. Spoke with Dave Goldberg yesterday. He was supposed to stop by today. He couldn't make it, but his systems are all go, so that's terrific. Let's see. In November, I'm collaborating with the Historical Society again and the Human Rights Advisory Council to present the film The Poundridge Massacre. We've invited the filmmaker himself to come and speak, and he said yes. So we're very excited about that, and a representative from the Historical Society will act as moderator to keep the conversation lively and ask questions and everything. It's going to be probably November 4th. Is that right? Yeah, that sounds right. Poundridge Partnership Junior Board, we're going to collaborate with them and create what's called the Tech Heroes. So once a month, the high school seniors will help the Poundridge seniors. It's just going to be actually all the high school students that will volunteer to come and teach them technology if they want to know how to start a Facebook page or learn how to use social media or whatever it would be. My tech class goes every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. or by appointment, but this would be a more in-depth, mine concentrates on how to access ebooks or audiobooks or to stream movies or music or use all the WLS resources available to you. Theirs is going to be a more general technology question and answer help session, which is really exciting. The foundation, I just wanted to mention, is planning 2 events in April. A cocktail party, which is invite only for all the town officials on April 13th, and they've got a children's author visit day-long event on April 15th.
So where is that being held? Here.
I believe we're going to be invited. Again, we'll get the neighbor-to-neighbor bus, depending on how many, the RSVP list shapes up to be.
Okay, great. Would that be more of like an early evening event?
So the adults only event will be, I don't know, oh, I think we said 6 o'clock-ish.
Okay, early.
And that'll be on the 13th.
Oh,
And then on the 15th, that's when that'll be the daytime event for the kids.
okay, great.
And yes, you'll all be invited. Wall carpool.
We'll hitchhike.
Okay, that's it from me, thank you.
Okay, any public comments? Is there anyone?
Oh, yeah, you know what, I think, Mr. Pierce is on, let's see if we can get him. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, I have a page 2.
I'm sorry?
There's a page 2 to the director's report, just brought to my attention,
sorry.
thank you, Alan. I forgot to mention, the WLS, the Westchester Library System Board, is seeking a candidate to represent District 5, and District 5 comprised of the Bedford Free Library, Mount Pleasant Public Library, North Castle Public Library, and Pound Ridge Library District. So this is a person to sort of be the representative of all those. And the board meets 9 times a year on the last Tuesday of the month, January, June, September, and November. Potential candidates are welcome to join the next board meeting, which is on February 28th. It's held at WLS headquarters. I believe they do it via Zoom as well. And ideally, the new trustee would be appointed at the March 28th board meeting. The job description is in Dropbox, so if you think that you can make it, they're very keen to get someone on board as soon as possible because the position is currently vacant. So thanks for your consideration. They'll be very grateful. Now I'm done. Thank you. And let's see if we can get Mr. Pierce on here.
Just to let everyone know, Mr. Pierce is our behind the neighbor. He's one of the shared driveways.
All right, I'm asking Mr. Pierce to unmute, but I don't.
Michael Pierce, unmute your computer screen.
He might have stepped away.
I don't know.
All right, and I just saw the chat box in Zoom, and unfortunately everyone's saying that they're not able to hear very well.
I'm sorry?
The chat box for Zoom, I'm getting a lot of feedback that people can't hear us very well.
You're kidding.
They say it's muffled.
Oh my God.
I'll see if I can get in touch with Mr. Pierce.
I'm going to text Mr. Pierce.
I was just
If
going
you
to do
can
the
just hold
same.
on for a second. Did you get him?
Oh, I thought you were texting him.
Yeah, I am. Is he on yet? No.
Check. I know the volume's all the way up, so we should be able to hear him if he's... Neil, can you hear us? I don't know, should be fine. Oh, hold on, we got a new message in the chat.
He sent you a message?
Neil says he can hear us. So, it's working. I mean, it's not that we're muted or anything.
If it's just a volume issue in this room, I think.
Because her microphone.
Acoustics are not good in this room at all. And I know we spoke about this in previous meetings. And whether we have a microphone or not, it's just...
The only thing that they seem to be able to hear very clearly is when you're standing or sitting right in front of the
and when I
laptop.
listen to the minutes, when I listen to the meeting to prepare the minutes, you're clear and I can you never hear anybody else?
I listened to, because I was doing the minutes for about a year, and I could hear very clearly a recording onto the laptop, but when I tried to hear it through Zoom, not as much. So I really think it's a Zoom problem, not an us problem. Because it records perfectly fine on this one, I can hear every word. It's the Zoom.
And, you know, once Jennifer posts the minutes on the library, so, or you get the link, right? You can send the link out. You send
For
it to me.
recordings and such?
If, I invite anyone to listen to it, and you'll see what we're talking about, you know.
I don't post the recordings onto
No,
the
you know, you can
website,
send the
but
links
just
out,
the,
yeah.
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 You know, I feel now really bad, but, I've given him 5 minutes. He can obviously email all of us. You know, there's only us probably he wants to talk to, and this is not good, right? He's still not there?
No, I'm just gonna send him a chat, maybe that'll do it.
He's still on, or did he sign off?
He's still there.
He indicated he wanted to speak tonight. Oh, okay.
You know, he's been on this meeting the whole time, so.
Okay.
Okay, I just direct messaged him through the chat.
Maybe he's walking down.
Okay, it's unfortunate, let's just skip for a second. After our meeting's adjourned, I'm gonna call for executive session for, some personnel and legal matters. Did you get one of them?
Nothing yet?
Okay, I think we, you know, it's after 5 minutes, I think we should adjourn the meeting. He certainly can reach out to any one of us, he has our numbers or emails and stuff. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I'm going to adjourn the meeting. It is 8:56, a 5-minute break or a 3-minute